She had lived her entire life untouched, unwanted, unseen, until the night of bleeding Cowboy collapsed at her door and changed everything she thought she knew about love. If you believe love finds you when you least expect it, hit subscribe right now, because this story will stay with you long after it ends. The wind howled across the empty plains like it was mourning something long forgotten. Out here, miles away from the nearest town, silence wasn't peaceful, it was heavy. It pressed against your chest until breathing felt like work. Amina Carter had gotten used to that kind of silence. At 34, she had lived a life most people wouldn't understand. Not because it was extraordinary, but because it was painfully ordinary. Invisible, predictable, quiet, too quiet. Her small wooden house stood alone at the edge of nowhere, inherited from a grandmother who had believed solitude was safer than disappointment. Amina had once thought she'd only stay a year. That was 6 years ago. She adjusted the lantern on her table, its soft glow flickering against the walls as she stitched a tear in her sleeve. Outside, the storm was building. Thunder rolled like distant drums. She didn't mind storms. Storms made her feel less alone. But that night, something felt different. A sudden, violent knock shattered the quiet. Amina froze. No one came out here. No one. The knock came again, louder this time, desperate. Her heart began to pound. Slowly, cautiously, she stood and walked toward the door. Every instinct told her not to open it. But something else, something deeper, pushed her forward. She unlatched it. The door creaked open, and there he was. A man, tall, broad-shouldered, half collapsed against the frame. His shirt was soaked in blood, his face pale beneath the shadow of his hat. A cowboy. Before she could say a word, he fell forward. Amina gasped and caught him just enough to stop him from hitting the ground completely. "Please," he whispered, barely conscious. "Don't." "Shut the door." She hesitated. This was a stranger. A wounded man. Dangerous, maybe. But something in his voice, something broken, something human. She dragged him inside. The man who shouldn't have survived. It took everything she had to pull him to the couch. He was heavier than he looked, solid muscle and dead weight. Up close, she could see the wound clearly. A gunshot. Her stomach twisted. This wasn't just bad luck. This was trouble. "Why are you here?" she muttered under her breath, grabbing her first aid kit. He didn't answer. He was unconscious. For hours, she worked on him, cleaning the wound, stopping the bleeding, stitching what she could with trembling hands. She had no medical training, just survival instincts and old knowledge passed down. He should have died. But he didn't. And that was the first twist fate offered her. A stranger with secrets. He woke up sometime before dawn. Amina had fallen asleep in a chair beside him, exhaustion pulling her under. She didn't hear him stir. But she felt his eyes. When she opened hers, he was watching her. Sharp, alert, dangerous. "Where am I?" he asked. "My house," she replied cautiously. "You were bleeding to death on my doorstep." He studied her for a moment. "Why didn't you leave me there?" Amina paused. She didn't have a good answer. "I don't know." That was the truth. He nodded slowly, like he understood something she didn't. "Name's Caleb." She hesitated. "Amina." Their eyes met, and something shifted. The woman who had never been kissed. Days passed. Caleb healed slowly, but he healed. And in those days, something unexpected happened. They talked. At first, it was cautious. Surface level. Safe. But isolation has a way of stripping people down to their truth. Amina found herself saying things she had never told anyone. "I've never been kissed," she admitted one evening, staring into the fire. She hadn't meant to say it. It just slipped out. Caleb looked at her, not with pity, not with surprise, but with something softer. "Never?" he asked. She shook her head. "Never been loved either," she added quietly. The room fell silent. Caleb leaned back, wincing slightly from his injury. "Funny," he said. "I've been kissed plenty." Amina raised an eyebrow. But never by someone who meant it. That hit her harder than she expected. Two different lives. Same loneliness. The first twist. On the fifth night, everything changed. Amina woke up to voices outside. Men. Rough. Armed. Spread out. "He's here somewhere." Her blood ran cold. She rushed to Caleb. "They're looking for you," she whispered urgently. He was already awake. Already alert. "I was hoping they wouldn't find me this fast," he muttered. "You didn't tell me. I didn't want you involved." Well, it's too late for that. The door rattled. Amina's heart pounded. What do we do? She asked. Caleb looked at her, really looked at her. Do you trust me? She hesitated. Then, yes. Good, he said. Because this is going to get dangerous. The hidden truth. As the men closed in, Caleb revealed the truth. He wasn't just a cowboy. He had stolen something. Something powerful. Something people were willing to kill for. They won't just take it, he said. They'll burn this place down to get it. Amina felt fear rise in her chest. But alongside it, something else. Resolve. This is my home, she said firmly. Then we protect it, Caleb replied. The fight for survival. What followed was chaos. Gunshots. Shouting. Firelight cutting through the dark. Amina had never held a weapon before. But that night, she did. And she didn't hesitate. Something inside her changed. The quiet, invisible woman who had lived untouched by the world was gone. In her place stood someone fierce. Someone alive. The kiss that changed everything. When it was over, silence returned. But it wasn't the same silence. The danger was gone. The men had fled. And Caleb. Caleb was standing in front of her, breathing hard, eyes locked onto hers. You saved my life, he said. You saved mine first, she replied. A moment passed. Heavy. Electric. I meant what I said, she whispered. About never being kissed. Caleb stepped closer. Slowly. Carefully. Then let's not rush it, he said softly. But she shook her head. No, she said. I've waited long enough. And before fear could stop her, she kissed him. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't practiced. But it was real. And for the first time in her life, Amina felt seen. Final twist. But just as quickly as everything changed, it threatened to fall apart. Because the truth Caleb hadn't told her yet was the most dangerous part of all. And loving him might cost her everything.